Are we on?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I am so excited that you are joining me here again today for another Make Your Move interview. And today I'm with LaKisha Williams.
Thank you.
And LaKisha, tell us just a little bit about yourself, maybe even how me and you met.
Okay, so I am a mommy of two. My kids are 7 and 9. Absolutely love being a mommy. A wife of 15 years, a daughter, a sister, a friend of many, I hope, but a child of God, of course. And you and I met. I put on a program for Fashion and Compassion, a ministry here in Charlotte for women to help get them back into the system and, you know, help them. And they invited me to a luncheon for the Women of Valor. And I met you. You were at my table. And I heard you talking to some other ladies. And I was just like, oh, gosh, I've got to get to know her better. I wanted to learn more about you.
That's funny because I was like, I'm going to interview LaKisha.
And I had no idea. But so it worked out. So after exchanging each other's information, I just felt blessed. Like, this is awesome because I love to build new friendships. So
me too.
Yeah.
So the thing that drew me to LaKisha was her bravery and courage. As I began to ask her what she does in her day when her kids are at school, she shared with me that her and her husband are entrepreneurs.
Yes, we are entrepreneurs. We are serial entrepreneurs. We have several different businesses. I'm in a season now where I have sold and closed 2 of my businesses. So I'm kind of in that season where, okay, what's next? You know, and this isn't a comfortable season for me.
Oh, wow.
I like to be busy and know kind of what I'm doing. And then we also owned a bakery as well. So I'm kind of like this fitness girl, but yet I bake on the
Your
side.
sweet side.
Yes. So
I love that because it sounds more balanced than just being one or the other.
Absolutely balanced. Yes. And I think that's important in life, period, in general, you know. Especially as a mom, a working mom, you have to keep a balance, you know, and that's how we are able to be the best mom that we can be, the best wife and friend that we can kind of offer. So I think balance is key.
Great. Well, can you share with us today an area or areas in your life where you've had to make your move, where you've had to overcome fear or maybe get up from a failure? What has that looked like in your life?
Yes, so this was a difficult task for me because, you know, being raised in my household with my mom and my dad, who is no longer with us, but I have my mommy. My brother and I didn't have an option. That wasn't an option for us to fail. So when you asked me about this interview, I had to look up the definition of failure. And it's to be defeated, to be deflated, unsuccessful, to me unresponsive, and to collapse. And for me, now, I have made many mistakes. You know, my husband and I have made several business decisions that may have not been the best. But I have always gotten up from that. And I have always acknowledged those as simple mistakes, stumbling blocks, the mountains to climb. You know, those are just part of the learning process of being an entrepreneur. And so making that move with things going on or with stumbling, it's just being accustomed to standing up, getting up, and fighting forward, you know, and pushing forward. But again, it comes from my background. It comes from my parents saying, it doesn't matter what you do wrong, bring it to me and I'll help you walk through the process of fixing it. So we never had that option of considering a mistake a failure.
That is awesome. And as we were talking a little bit earlier, I had shared with you that when I interviewed another friend of mine named Karen McNary, who also is African-American, she said to me the same thing. And so I asked you, is that a cultural thing? Because I don't see all of us saying to our children, it's okay to make a mistake because you're not perfect. You're not failing, you're learning.
You're learning.
But that's not what we're all saying to our kids.
And it's important because if we don't teach them that it is okay to fall, the most important part is getting up. You know, it's just like, you know, I talked to my brother earlier today and I said, man, you know, I have this interview and I cannot figure out a failure. I want to like be able to present this whole, you know, failure thing and how I got through it. And he's like, oh yeah, because that wasn't an option for us, you know. And he said, you know, it's just like riding a bike, you know. when you're ready to take those training wheels off, right? You're going to fall for sure. And the parent, mom, dad, whoever is holding that bike with that child, they know as soon as they let go, they're going to probably fall, you know. And what do we say to them? You've got to get back up. If you don't get back up, you will never accomplish this task.
And what parent would take the bike and put it in the garage and say, you're done.
You're done.
You didn't do it the first time. It's over. Or what parent would say to that little baby that just got up and is standing and takes those first 2 steps and they fall down? Which one of us would have said, you didn't learn to walk, you're just going to crawl the rest of your life?
Absolutely.
But we do that to ourselves.
We do it to ourselves.
In our life now.
Yeah. And I think it's important because every mother, every parent has it in them, right? We just have to remind ourselves to verbally say it to our kids and say, hey, that's okay. That was a mistake. Get up and keep on moving. And so then we'll share it with the next generation, you know. And so it is part of our culture. We are taught to transform. We are taught to go the extra mile, you know, to be extraordinary. I remember my pastor used to always say that, be extra, do the extra steps that you have to take and make and do to be, you know, different from just the ordinary, you know, and that's very, very important to us. And just like the crawling, you know, I use that example. I try to remind moms when I do speaking engagements for mothers, you know, remember when our children took their first baby step, you know, we would try to call the grandparents, you know, let everyone know, you know, whomever took a baby step, you know, and the child felt immediately after, right? But maybe they began to crawl, you know, maybe they crawled over to a couch and used the couch to get up. Well, look at that as your faith, you know, if you fall down, even if you can only crawl at that moment, crawl, just keep moving. If you need someone or God to lean on, treat that as almost the couch, the table, whatever, to get up again, you know, and it's, you know, being an entrepreneur is just like getting back on the bike again. You have to do it, right? You've got to get back on, and it's just like learning, you know, a new business. It's just like riding a bike. You'll learn it, you'll be great at it, you're going to make mistakes, but it's okay. You've got to keep pushing. So how does your faith and you said, you know, reaching out to Jesus to help hold you up, how does that intersect with business? I mean, for some people, they might be like, oh, no, that's just kind of weird business. Oh,
and Jesus.
no, that's our faith walk. You know, as an entrepreneur, you step out on faith literally almost every day. You know, you are...
What does that look like, stepping out in faith every day?
Well, so my mom and my husband's mother, they aren't necessarily... entrepreneurs, you know, they play it the safe way, you know, everything is lined up, retirement, everything is perfect, their home is purchased, and you know, that's how they live life. We're kind of on the other side. We're risk takers. We take a lot of risks. So for us, it is, I believe that, you know, the Lord wants me to walk in this direction. He's given me this imagination, this way. So I'm going to give it a shot. So although they are great cheerleaders, they would never, ever put themselves and their family in that situation because of the risk associated with the decision. You know what I'm saying? But they have always taught us to lean on faith. And once you try one business and you tried it, it was successful, it was great, you try it again and again and again, you know. And even if you fall, sometimes the Lord is going to save you in a different way, you know. So you expect for him to kind of swoop in and you know, help you out. And sometimes it comes in a different way. The blessing comes at a different time, you know. So I think remembering that and knowing that you can always count on your faith and keep him with you along the way. Try not to show up, you know, to what we say, the promised land, you know. I remember, I can share a quick story with you. We wanted to leave Ohio. We just wanted to try something new. I was born and raised there. And one of my businesses was very, very successful. And it still is. We were just in a very good spot. And I had lost my father. And people had no idea how sad I was. I mean, it was and that's not my personality. But it kind of stopped me from doing the business that I did on a daily basis because I truly was sad, you know, grieving. And I was pregnant when he passed. So I wasn't able to, I really believe in, you know, how you feel is how your children will feel. And, you know, so I put it all on the side and waited until I gave birth to my son. And before I could really, really just feel, you know, and go through the 5 phases of death and, you know, and kind of dealing with that. And so I remember saying, you know, my husband and I, we wanted to move to Charlotte years ago, but based on the market and the business that I was pushing and supporting and in the middle of, we said, let's go to Chicago. I had clients lined up. The market said move to Chicago, but I heard such negative things from my brother. He didn't want us to go. My mother didn't want us to go. My in-laws. And, but we went, we tried it. We did pop-up shops. It was great, you know? And so we said, okay, Lord, this is what we're going to do. So then it was time to handle family matters. The business thing was great. It was awesome. But then we had to find a school and a home and all of those little things in a neighborhood and everything. And every door closed. I mean, it literally, we heard the answer no. Or, walking into a school and it's like, okay, this isn't the school for us. Or this neighborhood is great. But then you ask friends and they're like, no, don't move, So we're just like, gosh, this just isn't working out. This isn't for us. We accept the Lord's answer or him, the answer no, as a way to guide us through life. We don't accept it as, oh no, that move to Chicago was an absolute failure. No, it was a blessing. Maybe that isn't the place for me. And I think we went before God. We went there and we said, hey, this is where we're going to establish our business. And it's like, no, that's not where you're supposed to be. And so then a few months later, we said, well, let's try Charlotte. We moved here. The first school we toured was the school for us, the first home we saw, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We visited. So I just know, and that's, to me, that is a gift. And I look at it as a very special gift near and dear to my heart, the ability to listen to God and know when I am kind of going in the wrong direction,
You talked about having a mom and a brother and a husband who all are like lifting you up and pumping you up. But what about the woman who feels this call, this desire to try something new, but she doesn't have that
support system? I totally understand that. And I think, I encourage people who, if you have a passion or a dream, start now. Do something today that can kind of push you towards that dream, and I always say, I talked to one of my best friends last night, and she's always played it safe. I mean, she's been working for the same company since we were 18, maybe 17. But she's into security. That's her number one priority, keeping her child safe, her husband safe, and so I get that. But I always tell her, you have all these I want you to just take a step.
You see all the potential just
absolutely
right there.
Just waiting to, and so I encourage every woman to be their own cheerleader, pump yourself up and say, let's go, let's get it. Let's find a way for me to take a baby step today towards moving into my future, and if it is meant to be, it will be. If it isn't meant for you, then the Lord, keep that relationship with him, stay connected, and you'll know if you're going in the right direction or not.
You talked about being your own cheerleader, and that reminds me of in Make Your Move, one of the chapters is on Deborah. And Deborah, I just think, is the coolest lady. She's just breaking all the social norms. And in Judges 5:12, Deborah is talking to herself, and she says, awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, break out in song. And I love that because she's preaching to herself. She is telling herself, come on, girl, you got it. You can do this. Come on. And I think we have to do that a lot. There's not always going to be somewhere behind us, lifting us up.
Absolutely. And for me, that moment is, I turn on my gospel music. I am excited. I am connected with God, and I feel that connectedness. And all is well, and so you have to pump yourself up to move forward, because we take on the burden sometimes, the weight, the concerns, the issues, the stress of others, of everyone in our household, and we can't show it all the time. Sometimes I remember being in a very down period around, several years ago around the death of my father. And I remember calling my mom and saying, thank you for teaching me how to walk in stiletto, the heels. We talked about that.
She's got on these awesome high heel boots. I'm like, how do you do that? And she said, my mom taught me.
But it's one of those where, even when I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders, I still got to put the shoulders back and walk in, present as if there isn't anything on my mind at all. You know what I mean? And so we're taught as a culture to transform, whatever you're dealing with, get up and keep moving, you know.
That's really good.
Whatever circumstances you're dealing with, whatever environment, community, wherever you come from, get up and keep moving. That's the only way you're going to escape whatever you need to escape, get out of whatever you need to get out of. Mainly get out of your head in a negative way. You should never have a quiet conversation with yourself and feel worse when you're done talking. You know what I mean?
Say that again.
You should never have a quiet conversation with yourself and feel worse than you did before you set yourself down.
That's gold. That is,
you understand?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
as ladies, we do that.
We
question, you know, did I do this? And, you know, if you have an event, did I welcome everyone? Did I thank them enough? Did I do this? Yes. And take it easy. You know, be nice to yourself.
Be nice to yourself.
That's right. And when you have those pep talks, it should end, you know, in a pep rally in your head, you know. It shouldn't end where, oh gosh, maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I shouldn't because of. Absolutely not. You know.
And those strongest pep talks come to ourselves when we use God's word. When we remind ourselves of what has God said about us. And that all came earlier in the day.
Yes.
When we were spending time with him and we were pouring that truth in. Then later on in the day, when it's all falling apart, that's what we have to pull back. Out.
Absolutely.
What we poured in.
We poured in, you know, and that's why I think it's important to have that church home that feeds you, you know, to have sisters around you that you can grow with and from, you know, because it's our responsibility to grow, you know, and I think it's offensive to, you know, belittle ourselves and not feel that we're good enough and we were created by God. He doesn't make any mistakes. You know what I mean? So whoever you are, you find that inner you and the passion, whatever you're happy about. I encourage, you know, younger, like my goddaughter, the younger adults, the teens, to find something that you are truly passionate about and do not give up. Because you want to enjoy and you want to be a blessing to others. If you're miserable daily, if you're going through depression, find a way to get out. You know, put those concerns into compartments. I remember someone teaching me how to, you know, is this really a big deal? Then if it isn't, put it in a little box and put it to the side. You know, move on to the larger things. Move on to what you are great at. Don't focus on what you're still developing. Don't focus on what you just aren't good at, you know. Focus on your strengths. What are you good at doing? And be the best that you can be at that particular task.
That's so good. I could sit here and talk all day to you,
right?
but I know you probably have to get back to lunch and doing the things you have to do. You got some friends on there? Hey, I like your name. My name's Lynette, too. So thank you so much for joining me today. And we'll be continuing these Make Your Move interviews. And have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.